What's up, guys? I hope you're all doing well, and thank you so much for popping into this surprise review. But it is a review to anticipate next week's release of my favorite film of all time returning to theaters. It is the film before that. This is episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Of course, we're talking about Star Wars. This film I never saw in a movie theater. I've owned it on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, the whole 9 yards. I currently own the film on I believe this is a Zavvi 4K steelbook, beautiful steelbook with the original poster art. I need to get that original print for this. I have one for Revenge of the Sith, but I need one for this and Phantom Menace. I think all the posters are really beautiful, but the prequel posters, that artwork is just something really special. You go to a Star Wars movie, and I think everybody can expect great visual effects, and great music. The score by Maestro John Williams is another banger. The music in this movie is so unique and specific to the pre-Clone War era. It just feels very different, but at the same time, very much Star Wars. Like the sequence of the chase through Coruscant for the shape-shifting assassin. You know, John Williams' music there isn't typical Star Wars big orchestral music. It's a lot of percussion and a lot of other instruments as well, but it has its own flavor and it has its own tone. But as the film goes on, he totally lets the orchestra breathe with some really great moments. So this is a great score, just like the Phantom Menace. I think every soundtrack for Star Wars that John Williams has done is a banger. So, Across the Stars is probably the best love theme ever written for cinema. Certainly a top five. I mean, you can, talk about Hans Zimmer's One Day theme, the love theme for Pirates of the Caribbean. So, yeah, there's a lot of the Titanic theme, if you want to consider that a love theme. A lot of great love themes out there, but this one in particular, it's like a 5.5 minute track, and it's just this beautiful theme of a great piece of music that I've been listening to basically forever. Um, yeah, that's one of the most repeatable songs that John Williams has written for Star Wars. But look, we're not just talking about John Williams here. I could talk about him all day, basically. I mean, I love all of his scores. He's the best. He's the best film composer out there. So you know that you're gonna see the movie and it's gonna have good music. But the thing about Attack of the Clones, since we are kind of honing in on Attack of the Clones here, uh, you know, the film over time, I feel like has gotten a different appreciation, and certainly now where we are in 2025, heading into the re-release of Revenge of the Sith, which is personally my favorite movie of all time, not just my favorite Star Wars film. You know, the film that preceded that, you see that and you watch it and you see the footprints that George Lucas left with the story. Now, you can say the script isn't great to this film, but after watching it, the story is crystal clear and makes perfect sense. I like the story. I like the politics of the prequel trilogy and the politics in this movie. I think it's almost funny that Padme gives her power to Jar Jar while she goes into hiding, and he's the one that gives Palpatine all the power. I chuckled when that happened, but I don't know. Jar Jar in this movie, I liked him in this movie. It didn't annoy me. I think he's a good character. I mean, he's actually doing important things in this. He's the reason Palpatine got control over the clones. I'm not going to get into the Darth Jar Jar theories and memes, but yeah, he had a pretty pivotal part in that. So I'd like to see a three-part documentary from Disney Plus to see what happened to Jar Jar Binks after the events of Revenge of the Sith to the woman that gave you the power temporarily of senator while she's gone, gives the permission for this to happen, and now you're dead, basically. So, did the power revert back to Jar Jar? Did Padme's power revert back to Jar Jar after she? Hey, look, I'm getting into a lot. Probably too much. The whole cast. I mean, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. He is so beloved today. But after seeing him in this movie, he plays this role in a very people say it's a bad performance, but I mean, sure, some of the line delivery is not great, but he's playing Anakin Skywalker as this very confident Padawan who knows that he's capable, someone who wants to prove that he's capable, and someone who, when he realizes he's not capable at everything, including saving his mother, is when he really snaps. Once his mother died, he had visions of his mother's death. And once she died in this film, I think that is the turning point, really, in his brain. That's when something really clicked. Because before that, he wasn't really turning to the dark side or having really dark thoughts until his mother died, and he turned to rage and he turned to anger. The seeds of what's to come is great. I've always been upset that the scene when Anakin kills the sand people. I wish that scene was longer. I've always been upset that he kind of cuts the head off and the camera kind of cuts away. I always thought when I had the movie on DVD or when I watched it as a kid that I accidentally pressed skip or the DVD skipped, so I had to rewind a couple times. I was like, oh, that's a little anticlimactic to a really great scene with a sweeping, I'll say it again, sweeping score from John Williams. But he's got his mother in his arms and she dies. As he looks up, and the whole thing is shot really intimately, really beautifully. I don't think Attack of the Clones gets as much credit for its cinematography. I wouldn't say it's Oscar-worthy cinematography, but there's so many great shots in this movie. Like at the Geonosis fight, there's a shot that I thought was just really nice how it was set up, how Anakin and Padme are on the cart and it falls over and they have to get up off the ground and then go hide behind the cart and come together and he's deflecting and she's shooting. The way the camera pans in that little sequence, it was nice to me. Yeah, the whole movie looks nice. I mean, the visual effects for 2002, I could see why they were nominated. This film is an Oscar-nominated film for Best Visual Effects. This movie created so many new planets. I don't think George Lucas gets the credit that he deserves for Attack of the Clones with what he gave us in this movie. He gave us Camino. And with Camino, you have so much backstory, you have so much lore. There's just this random clone army that is waiting for the Jedi that just kind of falls into their hands. At the same time, the droid army is being built by Count Dooku and the Separatists. And the whole film really begins, and the crux of the film, and the big mystery of the film is who's trying to kill Padme. Why do they want to kill Padme? Well, they're trying to get treaties signed to get an army of the Republic. If you can get an army of the Republic, the Jedi aren't going to be so overwhelmed because of all the stuff that's going on currently. So, what you have going on in the film is Count Dooku, who was an older Jedi. He used to be the master of Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't know if you guys saw Tales of the Jedi. It's an animated Disney Plus series. There's an episode, or a 3-episode arc, I think, with Count Dooku. Qui-Gon Jinn is in some of those, and those are fantastic, by the way. And when you see at the end of this film the same setting, the same set that he fought Yaddle, I mean, just a lot of callbacks. That was a great season 1 of that was great. I didn't see the other ones, but the Tales of the Empire. What else is coming out? Count Dooku. I love the character of Count Dooku. He's a top 5 Star Wars character for me, probably, and not just because he's played by one of the great actors of all time, Christopher Lee, who also plays one of the best villains of one of my favorite films, Lord Summerisle in The Wicker Man, 1973. He is so poised and distinguished in this movie, and I feel like if Disney was doing the prequel trilogy and George Lucas wasn't, you know, I feel like they probably wouldn't have made him an older man as the villain at the end of this film that Yoda has to fight. George Lucas did that. Is some of the dialogue cringy? Yeah. Some of the romance isn't the best, but I wouldn't say it's bad. Like, I've seen a lot worse. I think the worst scene with romantically in the film is when they're in the fireplace room at nighttime and they're having that conversation. I never liked that scene. And there's always a couple times throughout the film that certain sequences happen that maybe take a minute or 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, you probably could have cut that out of the movie. Like, there's just a sequence in the Jedi Council in the first half of the film that has Yoda, Mace Windu, and Obi-Wan walking forward, basically saying he's not ready yet. He's arrogant. His powers, blah blah blah. Basically, just telling the audience what you need to know. And then it's like Mace Windu's like, oh, and yeah, he's the one who can do the prophecy and settle the Force and all that. So I was like, oh, okay, they're just kind of throwing that in there again. There is so much to unpack with this movie, really. I mean, there's so much to unpack with any of these films, but I just feel like the film is so big in scope. And I know that they did a big IMAX push for this in 2002, and I would have loved to have seen this. And I would love to see this movie in a theater. I mean, I think one of the best fight sequences in any of the Star Wars films is Jango Fett versus Obi-Wan in the rain. I think that sequence is fantastic. And then it's followed by the great sequence with the blue explosives. What solar flare explosives? I plasma. I don't know. Seismic charges. Wow, I was gonna get hammered if I didn't remember that. But in the Geonosis battle at the end of the film, don't really care as much for the droid factory fight sequence, to be honest with you. But the Geonosis arena battle is just awesome. I love it. You get action for everybody. You get Anakin doing his thing, Obi-Wan doing his thing, Padme swinging around, getting cut, doing her thing. When she jumps off the platform and lands on the animal and gives him a kiss on the cheek, I was kind of laughing, saying, she's not kissing him on the cheek. She's going to be in a lot of pain. But regardless, there's so much to love in that sequence. You get the introduction of the clones with Yoda coming in. There's just so much to like about this film. And I really enjoyed it tonight. And to be honest with you, I'm probably moving this up on my Star Wars rankings list because I think that the story is really focused. I mean, there's a lot going on, but I think the story's focused. It's a mystery detective story in a sense with Obi-Wan, the whole thing about Kamino. The planet's deleted from the archives at first. He's got to discover that. He's got to talk to Dex's Diner, this little sequence. It was so damn, entertaining, and seeing Dex and his big arms and everything. Yeah, this film, I think with time, it's doing it for me, and it's doing it for me more and more each time. So, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, there's a lot I'm not saying, to be honest with you, that I can probably make an hour podcast video talking about each Star Wars movie. But yeah, just picking that kind of stuff out that I think, sure, there's some scenes you could delete to cut down the runtime a little bit. Maybe some of the dialogue's not great, but at the end of the day, I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. This is the first time in history that I'm doing that. I used to have it at a 3.5 for the last couple of years, and I think finally I'm going to move it up to a 4. So after seeing Revenge of the Sith, which is my favorite movie of all time, believe it or not, I don't think that's a 5 out of 5 movie. Why not? Well, you're going to have to see my review next week. So come on back next Saturday night to check out my review for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, for its 20th anniversary, and finishing up our little chat about Attack of the Clones. just wanted to show you some memorabilia that I have from 2002. An original sealed Count Dooku action figure. Never opened, and I think that that's pretty cool. It's becoming vintage at this point. And also from the Attack of the Clones line, Collection 1, which was the first collection they put out for the toy series, Jango Fett, who is a character that I love. I just kind of wanted to show. Those are the only two action figures that I have from that, but I also have the Black Series of Count Dooku. I was not kidding when I said he was one of my favorite characters. So, I think I'm going to leave him on my desk. I can't wait to see Revenge of the Sith on the big screen and just to hear that score, which is one of the best film scores ever written. Just this beautiful, compelling music. The first half of the movie's good, but the second half is when it soars. So can't wait for all that. So hit that subscribe button. Come on back for that. Also, come back for my review for Sinners, which is up on the channel now. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. Also, you can follow me on Twitter and or X at RyanKing72 and Instagram and TikTok at KingOfRises131. That's been it for me. Thank you so much for watching my review for Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And until next time, over and out.